We are going to be taking a look at Custom417.com and how to use this nice new website. Go to Custom417.com/wp-admin, and then you have a username that we provided for you and a password. You enter those in, you log in, and you'll get to the dashboard here. On the dashboard, you'll see a whole lot of stuff over here in the main area. None of that is really important at all. You can ignore that for the rest of your life. But over here we have our navigation system, so we can get around to control the different elements of the site. We're going to take a quick look at all of them and just go through very briefly and say what they are, and then we'll go back through in a little more detail so you can understand how to use them. Up here at the top, then we have updates, and that's where you go to make updates to plugins. Right now we don't have any plugins that need to be updated, but we'll generally be taking care of that for you. That's part of the service we offer with our hosting and support, but you could go in there at some point and do that if you want to. With post, then that is for blogs, and that's not something that you have as a part of your system right now, but at some point if you'd like to add that, then that would be fine. Media, then you can take a look at your documents and photos, videos, audio files, anything like that would go into this section here. You wouldn't normally access it directly through here. There are other ways you would be doing that, but you could do it right here. Forms, as the name implies, is for forms, and so then you control the contact form on the website. I believe that's the only form that you all have going on the page. And then we have pages, and that controls all the pages of the website, as the name implies again, except for the home page. And it is controlled a little differently. We'll take a look at that in a moment. We don't have comments enabled on this website right now, so there's nothing to look at there. Foo Gallery makes it so that then we can have a gallery of photos, like on, I think it's a gallery page. We'll take a look at it in a moment. I can't remember the exact name of it. You have a page that goes, our work maybe, I think that's what it's called on this one. But it sets them up nicely, very easy to use, makes it much simpler to be able to have a nice looking photo gallery, not much work on your part. Quotes collection is for the home page, and it makes it so that then we can have those quotes, those testimonials on the home page to show what people think about your business, and it's quite simple to use. You don't need to worry about Genesis. This is something that's the framework, so it's something underneath everything else that you don't normally need to be dealing with. You can always take a look, of course, if you want to, but it's not something you need to worry about too much. Under appearance, we have a lot of different items, but the only two that really matter for us are widgets, which control the homepage and the footer and the header. And then we have menus, of course, and that would be relevant as well. For plugins, then you can go and get additional little pieces of software called plugins, and it gives added functionality to your website. And at some point you can explore those if you want to. Probably a better approach would be if you have something that you want your site to do that it's not doing right now, is just to come to us. You can text, email, or call, and we can give you some good advice on the best way to accomplish that. There are plenty of wonderful plugins out there. There are also plenty that aren't any good at all, and some of them are even dangerous. So you want to be a little careful, but you can experiment if you want to. If you run into trouble, we back up the site, so if there's ever a problem, then we should be able to recover everything just fine. Users are those who have access to the website. You can set up multiple users, and we will go over that here more in a moment. There aren't really any tools that are needed for what you all are doing. And then under settings, we'll look over this briefly in a moment, but for the most part you can ignore the things that are on here. Maybe take a quick look at it here at some point, but nothing that's too urgent or too important. But the slider revolution here, this controls the slideshow on the home page, and we will want to take a good look at that. Those are all the basic elements. Let's go back through, and we have post here. And under post, then all we have is a sample post. We're going to click trash. That will get rid of it. When you put something in the trash for post or for anything else, then it doesn't go away permanently right away. You go back in and you click delete permanently, and now it's gone forever. You don't need that. We're not utilizing post on this page, on this website, I should say. And so we don't need to worry about them too much. The way that it works basically is that if you were going to use post, they would be like a blog or something like that, and then we would have multiple posts showing up on one page. So they're a smaller thing that shows up in multiple places on the website, potentially even. But we're not using post for what we're doing right now, so we can ignore this section. With media, then we don't need to look at it too closely. You can go in there and look sometime, but that's not really how we normally handle media. We'll take a look at forms. We have forms here, and let's see, I guess we do have more than one form on the website, don't we? All right. So we have our estimate here on the home page, and home estimate form. There we go. Let's take a look at that one. We'll start with that. And we have our basic fields here: name, phone, email. How can we help you? It's pretty simple. If you ever want to add something more into this list, then you can. And these are mostly self-explanatory, so we can have a single line of text here, and so you could say something like, how did you hear about us? And then we would click update the form, and then that would become a part of it. We'll even do it here real quick, just so you can take a look at how that is. And see, it just goes right in there, fits right in, no big deal. It doesn't look like it's out of place or anything. The formatting still works just fine. We don't necessarily want that there right now though, so we'll click delete, and we'll update it so it goes back to the way that it was. You can go through these different fields and try them out. We won't go into great detail about them, but they're fairly simple to use. If you ever have a question, you can let us know. If you go under form settings here, then just gives a basic place to indicate the name. If you want to say something other than submit on that button at the bottom, we always want to enable anti-spam honeypot and enable animations. The anti-spam honeypot makes it so that you don't get false submissions. Gets rid of a lot of the spam that comes through that. We have confirmation here, and it's a default confirmation. Right now all it says is, thanks for contacting us, we will get in touch with you shortly. You can modify that to be something custom, and so once someone submits a form, then they get this message on their screen. We also have notifications down here, and this alerts you to a new submission. So right now we have it set up to go to Kevin at Custom417.com. You can change the email here. You can also make it so that not all the fields were there. If there were a reason you didn't want to have all of them included, that would be fine. You can also make it send a copy of this to the person who submitted it, and that would also be okay. But those are really all we have. At any point along the way, then you can click preview to see the basic structure of the form. It doesn't apply any of the styling, but it does make it so that you can at least see how it's being put together there. If you ever want to delete a form, you come in here, you can click trash and it will get rid of it. You can see here that we have our number of views and entries and our conversion rates. If you want to look at the entries more specifically, then you can go here and see that these are the entries we've had so far. If you want to view them more in detail, we come inside here and we have all the information that the person submitted. And those will stay there forever unless you specifically go in and click trash. We have settings over here, nothing you really need to change there. Import updates, add-ons, shouldn't be anything else. To make it so that a form goes onto a page, it's a very simple process, or to make it go on somewhere else, like in a widget in the home page or on the footer, then we could do it there as well. But we'll take a look at that here within Pages. So we'll take a look at Pages here, and we'll see that we have all our pages that show up on the website. And if you want to make any changes to these, it's very simple. Let's go to the About page and we'll take a look at that. You click on Visual up here. If it ever looks funny like this, just a bunch of code and text, then click on Visual and you get to see the way that it's easier to be editing it. So we have our photo here. That is our photo that shows up kind of in the top part of the page. And we have the text that goes underneath it. This page is very simple. So that's all we have, and you click on a preview there. Anytime you can click preview changes, and everything up until you click update, then nothing becomes live. Then you can just take a look at how it is along the way. So we have About, we've got this photo here of the family in the truck, feels good. We still got our estimate form down here, and that's good for all these inside pages as well. If you want to make changes, they're fairly intuitive. You want to make changes in the text, of course, then you just go in and you write new text. And if you want to make things bold, different colors, it's simple enough to do. It's just like you'd be doing on a normal word processing program. You can change out all these things super simply. If you want to add a new image down here, then you can click Add Media. We have all these images that have already been uploaded, and so we can just take this one here. And you notice over here that it has the alignment where it has left, center, and right. Well, let's make it left aligned so the text wraps around it. And we don't want it that full size, we'll make it this medium size here instead. So we insert that, you can see the text wraps around it, and we can click preview, see if that's what it is that we're wanting. Okay, that wraps around, looks like what we want it, or at least for this moment we're pretending that it does. And we say, oh, that's good, but actually even though that size is close to right, it's smallish, then we want it even more specific. And so we go into customize size, and we're going to say we want it to be 240 by 180, and this makes it automatically stay the right proportions and all. And you don't have to know what those pixels mean precisely, you can just experiment until you get the right number, because you can always go back here and keep clicking preview changes, and then we'll see Did we get it now? Yes, there we go. That's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Now let's say at the bottom of this page we wanted to have an additional form. We said we were going to get back to that, and we are going to get back to that. So we click Add Form, and we're going to do the Ask the Pros form here. And we don't want the title, don't want the description. You could have that if you want to, no problem with that. That's not what we're doing right now. Normally clicking Enable Ajax is a good decision to make. It's not a crucial thing, but it makes it a little better. And then we click Preview, and now we've got our form right down here, just like what we wanted to. Just the way we wanted it to be. And it's as simple as that to insert a form. We can do that with any of the forms on here. You can insert as many forms as you want. You can also insert sliders directly within these pages. So like the slideshow that's on the home page, if you wanted to have that on another page, not something you're probably wanting to do, but if you want to, you just click on it and add selected slider. And now we'll click Preview, and down at the bottom, then we're going to have that slider that normally would show on the home page. Simple as that. No big deal at all. If you want to make something link within this, you select whatever the text is or the image is, and you click this little link button up here, and you add in the address to which you want it to be linking. And again, of course, we can always click Preview. And now we have that link there within the text. Now we're going to go to google.com. You can also have a few parts of this that have additional formatting by changing out to a header. It makes it extra big text there. Probably a bit much, right? And so overall this is rather garish, but that's okay because this is all just a preview of it right now. And so if you were to go to the actual page, then rather than looking like it does now, it looks like what it always has. And that's a good thing. So we could update and make it live, but we don't want to do that, so we're just going to leave, and it's going to say that I'm going to lose my changes, and I'm going to say that is A-OK. Now we're over here back in our pages. If you ever want to add a new page, then you click Add New, and so up here then we would type in the name of the page, and we have our content down in this section. You can make all the same changes we did on the other page. To formatting, adding images, all those things. We don't need to worry about this SEO stuff too much right here. You can experiment with that if you want, and that's fine. Layout you don't need to worry about, and nothing else down there at the bottom. We don't need to set a featured image. We're not using anything that would take advantage of that right now. We don't need to worry about the parent or the template. Everything should be good there. If you ever want to make it live, then you click Publish. You could also change it if you want to so that it's password protected or private. And private means that you have to be logged into the website to be able to view it. You can save it as a draft for later if you're not ready to make it live just yet. And if you're ever done with it, click Move to Trash. And then it's gone, but not permanently, right? It's still over here, and we don't need those. And I'll keep this one because I'm going to be putting the training videos onto that page here soon. Go down to comments here, and we're not going to be using that because comments aren't utilized on the website right now. We do have foo galleries here, and we are using them right now. So we're going to click on galleries, and we have retaining and hardscapes and our work here are the two that we've made at this point. And I don't know that we're using retaining and hardscapes anywhere. I don't think we are actually using that on the site right now. But we have our work over here. All these images here, well, they come here from the gallery. And so on the page here for our work, then you'll notice down here we have this little area here that doesn't look like anything on this part of it, but we can delete that and then we'll put it back in just so you can see how it's done. You simply click Add Foo Gallery, and then you click Our Work, Insert Gallery, and now it should still be there just like it was before. Yeah, it's still there. Then the gallery over here, and you see we have all these images lined up. If you want to delete one, of course, you simply click the X and it goes away. If you want to add more, you click Add Media, and a lot of these are already added, but if there's something new that you want to add, you click on it and you click Add Media, and now we have a new one added to there. And then you just click Update, and then it becomes live on that page because this is controlled separately. So you don't need to go back to that page or anything. You just click Update here, and then it will go into the other area. You could change some of the settings down here if you want to. It can be an experimental type thing, just see what it looks like, and that's fine. But right now it's working well, so you can also leave it that way. If you ever get into trouble, of course, you can ask questions and we can help you out. It's set up to work with a light box, and what that means is that if I click on this, then it pops up in a pretty way. It looks pretty nice. Looks pretty fancy then. Makes everything look a little more professional than what it would have otherwise. But we don't want to save any of those changes. We don't want to make any of those things live, so we're going to leave it as it is. That's how you use Foo Gallery. Fairly simple to use. Now we have quotes collection. And in here we already have quite a few quotes loaded up. When you want to add a new one, you can click up here on Add New, and then you just type in the quote, and you type in the author. That means the person who said the quote is what we're talking about in this case. And so we say John Smith, and if you want to have a source, let's see, I don't remember if we were having a source associated with these things or not. Yeah, so then for source, then what we're saying is the homeowner from Springfield. Let's see. No, I guess our source here was from, then we're having them listed as the project. Okay, got it. And so then we say that the project that this was for, building a new fort, and then we would just click Add Quote and leave that checked as public. And once you do, then it's going to show up on the home page. And down here, oh, sorry, it's up here. The reviews up here. Then it is going to show up here in this section, and it will gradually switch out from one to the next. And I believe that this is set on random right now. Yeah, so we have Betty show up this time first, and Betty again. This time it's Steve. Each time it'll be a different one, so it's set to be random on there. That's good. We have some options down here. Not much that we really need to do. Maximum number for refresh. Nothing that really matters too much for what you all are doing. Mainly you need to know how to be able to add a new quote. It's very simple, very intuitive. I think you should be able to do it just fine. If you do ever run into trouble, something doesn't show up the way you intend for it to show up, then you can give us a call, text, or email, and we'll be happy to help you out with it. Genesis is something that we said we don't need to worry about too much, and we don't. Under Appearance, then we're going to take a look at widgets. These widgets control the home page, the header, and the footer on this website. And so we'll start with the header. So up at the top we have the logo for custom creations, the menu, and this little part here that says the phone number and when every detail counts, the slogan. So this is the logo right here where it says image, and so then we can switch it out anytime we want and make it into whatever image we want, not just a logo, but anything that we want in that spot, and it will show up in the same basic size. And then we have it set to be at full size right now, and that's fine because it's much bigger than what is actually showing up on the page right now, but we control it through the coding to make it so that it always shows up the right size right there. And then we have the menu here, and we select which menu we want to be showing up there. You control the menus from going into menus over here, and we can look at that in a moment, but if we want to change out what menu is showing up there, we just select it from here, click Save, and then it becomes live. This visual editor, any of these that say visual editor, then they are just text basically. But if you use a normal text widget, which is also an option over here, then you don't get to have the options. We don't need to do that. We don't get to have the options of doing things like links and formatting and things of that nature. It's just plain text then instead. So we always use this thing called visual editor. We have this information down here. If you change your slogan, change your phone number, you can always come in here and edit that. And you click Save, and then it becomes live. Or if you want it to be a new color, you could change it that way too. We don't use the primary sidebar. We don't use the secondary sidebar. For home top, then that is the slideshow that shows up here. And so we have the slider selected. You don't do anything to control the slideshow from here. That's done through Slider Revolution. But we can change out which slideshow it is. Now for home-bottom, then we have a lot of other things. We have our random quote, and so that's coming from our quotes collection over here. And so we say we want to show the author, the source, and we want the refresh feature. And then we have random refresh, auto refresh every 9 seconds. And we have a limit on the characters. If you wanted to go crazy long, then it would cut you off. And then we have our images. We have a bunch of images in a row, and those are these images here. And you can change out what the image is. You need it to be the same size as these other images, so it should be 768 by 565. If you have trouble being able to get images the right size for that and you are wanting to change them out, we're happy to help out with that process. The link for where you want it to go is right here, and so you want it to take it to the landscaping part of your website. You could have additional text with it, although we haven't set up to be styled correctly to do that right at this time. And so if you ever wanted to be adding more text, you might need to have more changes made by us to be able to make that a possibility. Each one of these has their image and has the link, and they are all the same size, which is a good thing. You can always change those out. And they should be able to work basically okay. Subfooter left we're not using, subfooter right we're not using. In the footer then we have about and the estimate. And so we have about over here, estimate over here. We have this text down here that goes along with that image. You can change that out, not a problem. The way that this is structured over here, you could make that a good deal longer, or it could be shorter and it would still work okay. You wouldn't run into any trouble at all. If you change out the image, you need it to be of a certain size. You don't want it to be any smaller than this, but it can be bigger than that, and that's fine. The estimate here is just taking the form that we created under Gravity Forms over here, and so it's the home estimate form, and then we select it, and we say estimate up there above it, and we click save, and then it shows up there. We're not using these bottom ones, but we are using footer 2, and so we have a social menu, and we have a footer menu. The social menu is the social elements, right here, and then we have the menu down here at the bottom as well. And again, you don't control those directly through here, you just say that you want them to show up there, and if you want to control them directly, you go over to menus. So let's go over here to menus. And this is our Nav1 menu. It is the menu that shows up at the top of each page. And it's fairly simple to use. We have our pages over here that are from the website, and we can select any of them we want to add. And this works in a hierarchical structure, so that then we can just drag things over, and then they will drop down underneath them. So we can go over here, and then we can even have more drop downs and more drop downs. And we don't want to do that, though, of course, but we could do that if we wanted to. And if you ever want to change the wording on one of these, and so you wanted to say home slice instead of home, then you could add that in right there. You click save menu and it becomes live. You probably don't want to do that. If you do, then you probably have other business concerns besides the menus on a website. But then we've got these 6 that are here right now. We have Nav1, and then we have footer menu. And the footer menu is a simplified version of it, and so it has most of those things, but not all of them. It means that we're able to control the size a little differently. Then we have social menu, and right now we have it just set up for Facebook and email. We have our Facebook address here, and then we have the word Facebook down here, and then this stuff here is from Font Awesome, and it's just a little icon font set. And so then you don't really ever need to change it, but if you want to add something besides Facebook, so if you want to add Twitter, we can make the same thing happen with that. And in fact, it's very simple. You could even figure it out on your own, because all you're going to do is change it over to FA-Twitter. But if you have something else that's more complicated, then you can let us know. Or even on that one, if you don't remember how, then you can let us know, and we'll still be happy to help out. So those are the menus. They're fairly simple to use. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. If you ever run into trouble, though, we're happy to help out. Plugins down here, we talked about before how they are little pieces of software. Probably don't need to deal with it, but if you ever get into a position where you're wanting to add new functionality to the website, let us know and we'll help you through that process. We have users here, and under users right now we just have me, but we can add a new user, and we won't right now because I don't want the password to be a publicly available video of that password, but we can have a new user, and we have to have an email associated with it. And you can put the name in there, but you don't have to. For the password down here, it automatically generates a nice secure password, and I would suggest that you use it. It will be a much better option for you. If you make up your own password, and it's a silly password like password 123, then to be able to use that, you have to click this thing here that says confirm use of weak password. And I really hope you never do that, because it puts your site at risk, and so we don't want to do that. It means that it could be hacked, and we don't want your site to be hacked. It will cause problems, and everyone will be unhappy, so you're really much better off using the password that's automatically generated. You can't really remember it, but you can save it somewhere, and that would be ideal. The role down here, you're typically going to be wanting to go for administrator. You can use one of the others, but typically administrator is going to be the thing that is the best for you. If you ever need to go back and delete a user, then normally you would hover over them and click delete. You can't delete this user because I'm the only user right now and I'm logged in, so I can't delete myself while I'm logged in and then leave there being no users. So I can't do that right now, but normally you'd hover over and you click delete and then we would be gone forever. Under tools, we don't have anything that we need to be changing in particular. Under settings, you can change just a little bit that might be relevant to you. So right now it says custom lawn and landscaping is the site title. See how it shows that right there? And if you hover over it, then it has the rest, Premier Landscaping and Lawn Care, and that comes from that right there. You can make that change there and that would be fine. Don't ever change the URL or the site address, that would be bad for you. The rest of the things on here aren't too important. Writing, reading, I don't think any of those things are really terribly important. No, I don't think so. An updraft plus backups is not something you need to be concerned about, really. So let's go down to Slider Revolution. This controls the slideshow on the home page. Now, if we want to start a new one, we click plus, and then there's a whole lot of options you can set there. What we're really concerned about is how do we change out slides on the home page? I'm sure that's the bigger concern. And so we have over here our first slide that shows up, the Custom Creations logo, and then what we do to make that happen is we have a background image. If you want to change that background image to something else, you click on background image, and then you can click insert. Now remember, this is not going live right now. It won't go live until we click save, and we're not going to do that. If you want to change the way in which it's animated, you know, like how fast it's going on the background image, anything like that, then you go in here and then you can adjust these numbers. I'd say the best option is just to tweak them in a way that makes sense to you and then preview them and see if they work. And if they look good, go for it. And if they don't, keep messing around with them until they get there. But so scale in percentage, then we're saying we're going to start out zoomed in, and then we're going to go to a regular amount of zoomed out, and we're going to move a little from left to right and a little bit from down to up so that it's having a little bit more excitement as it's showing. And you can make adjustments to the timing of things down here, and that's fine. You can insert more elements within this. If you want to add another image on top of it, you can do that, and that won't be a problem. Most of these things, if you're going to be wanting to do something beyond what we have right now, then you're going to just want to experiment and you'll be able to figure it out on your own. If you do have questions, let us know and we can guide you through that process. But the typical slides are set up in a way where it should be fairly simple for you. So we've got on here a background image just like we did before, change the image, and it's set up on there. Now we have this text here, and so it's easy enough to change, and so we can double click on it, and then we can say whatever text, and then you click check, and then it becomes a reality on there. Not live on the website though, because you have to click save to do that. You can change out the text down here. It's all set up to do the right animations already. The timing is already correct. So if you ever get to a point where you're thinking, I want to have a new slide that's not included amongst these, and you still want to keep all of these here, then one of the best options is going to be to hover over a slide and click duplicate. Now we've got a second one down here, and we will click this little red circle to make it so it's not live on the website right now, but we can still make adjustments to it this way. And so we have this here, and it says excavating and grading. Well, now all this stuff is already set up, so all we've got to do is change it out to some big rocks. And then we can say, we're all about big rocks. And then we're going to change that out a little. But it's still going to be basically okay, right? Okay, and so now what we can do is we can click save, and we can preview this and say, oh man, there we go. Pops up just like always, and it's slowly moving away from there, right? And so now we have a nice looking slide, but it really doesn't take that much technical prowess or creativity, ingenuity, nothing of that sort. And maybe you have those things anyway, and if you do, then you're even better off. But now everything is back to the way that it's always been. And if you need to make more significant changes or you want to make a new slideshow that's completely different, let us know. We can give you some more detailed instructions on how to do that. But I think this should be able to get you to a point where you know how to control the basics of the slideshow, and we're always there to help out if you need more assistance with this. That covers the basics of how to use this website, and it should get you on the right path. If you run into situations where the instructions we've given you aren't enough, that's fine. That might happen at some point, and if it does, then we'll walk you through whatever detailed steps you have. this is a great first step. That way you have a basic understanding, and then it will make the process of us training you on anything more specific a lot smoother, a lot simpler. Don't hesitate to call us, text, or email. We're happy to help out. We're here for you for whatever you need.